If you've ever bought or sold a home in the UK, you know that feeling all too well. The stress, the waiting, the constant uncertainty. Well, the government has just rolled out a new blueprint that's designed to fix the whole broken system. So, let's break it down and see what this could all mean. First up, let's just acknowledge what we all know to be true. The way we buy and sell homes right now, it's frankly a bit of a nightmare. It's the question that so many of us have asked, right? Why on earth is a process that should be exciting so often just painful? Well, the government's own research paints a pretty stark picture of why that is. Just look at this number, 120 days. Let that sink in for a second. That's the average time it takes to actually complete a house purchase after your offer's been accepted. That's 4 long months of being in limbo. And during those 4 months, what's the risk? Well, it's huge. A staggering 1 in every 3 property deals in the UK completely falls apart before they ever complete. All that time, all that effort, all that hope, it can just vanish. So what's the financial damage from all these collapsed deals? A jaw-dropping £400 million. That's how much money is wasted, completely wasted every single year by buyers and sellers on fees for sales that never even happen. Okay, so it's pretty clear the system is not working. But the big question is, why? Let's dig into the core reasons behind these absolutely frustrating numbers. All right, so here's the absolute heart of the problem. We are making the single biggest purchase of our lives based on a tiny fraction of the information. The real deal breakers, the major problems, often only crawl out of the woodwork weeks or even months after an offer is on the table. And you can see here how it all just snowballs, right? You've got those critical problems popping up way too late. The whole thing is then slowed to a crawl because we're still so reliant on paperwork and computer systems that don't talk to each other. And on top of all that, there are no mandatory qualifications for estate agents, which, let's be honest, doesn't help with trust. It all adds up to this long, scary process that actually puts people off moving, especially older homeowners. And if you think this is just how it is, well, take a look at this. This comparison really shows you how far behind the UK is. In a country like Norway, the whole thing is done and dusted in about 4 weeks. 4 weeks versus our 4 months. It proves that a faster system isn't some fantasy. Other countries are already living it. Now, all that inefficiency and uncertainty, it completely shreds public trust. A recent poll found that only 37% of people in the UK actually trust estate agents. It's a massive sign that people feel the system just isn't working for them. Okay, enough about the problems. Let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. The government is basically proposing a radical rethink of the entire process from the ground up. So here's the official vision. And the key phrases that really jump out to me are informed consumers and innovative technology. The whole idea is to shift the power back to you, the buyer and the seller, by giving you the information and the tools you need right from day one. And here's how they plan to do it. They've broken that big vision down into 5 core goals. Make it faster, make it less risky, raise the professional standards, give consumers the knowledge they need, and finally, hopefully, rebuild some real trust in the whole system. So that all sounds great, but how do you actually make it happen? Let's take a deep dive into the specific, concrete fixes that are on the table. This right here is the big one. This is a potential game changer. The idea is to completely flip the current process on its head. Instead of finding problems at the last minute, sellers would have to provide a full pack of crucial information before their home even goes on the market. And what are we talking about here? Well, all the stuff that currently causes massive delays and headaches. Things like the local authority searches, any leasehold details, the property's energy performance rating, even a basic property condition report. It means a buyer can make an offer with their eyes wide open, which should dramatically cut the risk of those nasty late-stage surprises. The second huge idea is creating a kind of digital passport for every home. This logbook would hold all its vital information and history in one secure digital file that just gets passed from one owner to the next. Just think of the time that would save. No more starting from scratch every single time a property gets sold. And to fix that trust gap we saw earlier, the plan is to finally introduce mandatory qualifications for state agents, along with a new, stricter code of practice. The goal is simple: raise standards across the board so everyone gets a more professional, reliable service. And finally,
how do you stop 1 in 3 sales from collapsing? The idea being explored is to make offers more binding much earlier in the process. Once everyone has all that upfront information, they can commit with more confidence, creating the certainty that everyone is so desperate for.
So, we've looked at the problems, we've looked at the fixes, but what does all of this actually mean for you? If these changes go through, what would moving home actually feel like in the future? Well, here's the headline target. The main goal is to slash that disastrous fall-through rate from 1 in 3 all the way down to just 1 in 7. I mean, just imagine the difference that would make. The sheer reduction in stress and wasted money would be incredible. And this isn't just about stress levels. We're talking about real money back in your pocket. A first-time buyer could save about £710 per transaction. If you're moving home, it's about £400. Now, yes, sellers would have an upfront cost for that info plaque, around £310, but that's a pretty small price to avoid losing an average of £800 if your sale collapses. So, when you boil it all down, the bottom line is pretty clear. The whole point of this blueprint is to make moving home what it always should have been: faster, cheaper, and a heck of a lot less stressful for millions of people. Look, these proposals are ambitious, no doubt about it. And there's a long road ahead to make them a reality. But they do represent the most serious attempt in a generation to fix a system that's been a source of misery for so many. And it really leaves you wondering, could this finally be the plan that works?